There is a particular kind of unhappiness that has no external cause. You are not sick. Nothing has been taken from you. No disaster has occurred. But you saw something, a photograph, a headline, a piece of someone else's life, and something in you contracted, a quiet, reliable ache. 7 teachings from the history of philosophy on comparison, envy, and the trap that has been stealing peace from human beings since we could first look sideways at someone else's fire. Teaching 1. Envy is not about wanting what they have. It is about doubting whether you deserve what you have. The Stoics were direct about this. What you feel when you see someone else's success is not purely a response to them. It is a mirror. It reflects back something you believe about yourself specifically. The belief that their having more somehow confirms that you have less. That the world is organized as a contest with finite prizes. But this belief, the Stoics observed, is false. Another person's achievement does not subtract from yours. Their beauty does not diminish yours. Their success does not reduce what you are capable of. The scarcity is not in the world. It is in the belief. Teaching 2. The person you envy is also suffering. You are only seeing the part they chose to show. Boethius knew something about this that almost no one else in Western history knew from the inside. In 523 AD, he was the consul of Rome, effectively the most powerful non-imperial person in the Western world. He was the inheritor of 2 of Rome's greatest aristocratic families. He had translated Aristotle and Plato into Latin. He had served the Ostrogothic king Theodoric with distinction. And then, on accusations of treason that were almost certainly fabricated, he was arrested, stripped of everything, and imprisoned in Pavia to await execution. Behind the life you envy is a full life with its own losses, its own fears, its own disappointments, its own parts they would not choose to show. Not because they are dishonest, but because everyone manages what they share. You are comparing your interior to their exterior, and that is always an unfair competition. Teaching 3. Comparison is a form of self-abandonment. Zhuangzi once dreamed he was a butterfly fluttering from flower to flower, perfectly content, with no knowledge that he was Zhuangzi. When he woke, he could not be certain. Was he Zhuangzi, who had dreamed of being a butterfly, or a butterfly now dreaming of being Zhuangzi? The question is not answered in the text, it is lived with. Because the point is not which is real, it is that each has its own complete existence. And the butterfly comparing itself to Zhuangzi would miss the only existence it actually has. When you are comparing yourself to someone else, you are, at that moment, not living your life. You are consuming your attention with theirs. You are spending your only resource, the present moment, on someone else's story. That is the real cost, not the envy, the abandonment. Teaching 4. Gratitude and envy cannot occupy the same mind at the same time. Epicurus founded his school in an actual garden outside the walls of Athens. This was not a metaphor. The garden was a community, one of the most radical experiments in ancient philosophy. Women were admitted, slaves were admitted. The garden operated on the principle that friendship and simple pleasures were sufficient for happiness, and that the relentless pursuit of more was the engine of misery rather than its cure. Epicurus's most quoted teaching was this: "Do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. Remember that what you now have was once among the things you only hoped for." This is the precise mechanism by which gratitude defeats envy. Not by pretending that you have everything, by remembering that you already have what you once desperately wanted, and that the envy of the moment has exactly the same structure as the desire that preceded the things you now take for granted. Teaching 5. Admiration is envy transformed by wisdom. The move from envy to admiration is not naive. It is a practice. It begins with the recognition that someone who has achieved something beautiful has shown you that it is possible. Their success is evidence, not against you, for you. The path they walked proves the path exists. Admiration asks, "What did they do, and what can I learn from it?" Envy asks, "Why them and not me?" One is a question that opens into action. The other is a question that closes into grievance. The same external stimulus, someone else's success, produces entirely different interior states depending on which question you bring to it. Teaching 6. The comparison trap is powered by a false definition of success. You cannot win a race that has no finish line. You cannot arrive at enough if enough is defined by what the person next to you has. The comparison trap is not a trap about specific things, money, beauty, success. It is a trap about the measure itself. And until the measure changes, nothing else can. The Epicureans offered the most radical version of this teaching. Decide in advance what is enough, and then acknowledge when you have it. This is not a settling for less. It is the recognition that the person who has not decided what is enough will never experience having it, regardless of how much they accumulate. Teaching 7. Your life is singular. The comparison is a category error. This is the teaching that lies beneath all the others. Kierkegaard wrote that the most common form of despair is not knowing who you are, but in choosing to be someone else. The person lost in comparison has, functionally, chosen to be someone else. They are living someone else's script, while their own story goes unwritten. Your life is singular in the way that fingerprints are singular, not approximately unique, but actually unique, in every particular, in a way that makes comparison not merely inaccurate, but structurally confused. There is no one to compare yourself to, because there is no one who occupies your precise intersection of history, capacity, wound, and possibility. All 7 traditions converge at the same point. The Stoics diagnose the false belief. Boethius unmasks fortune's theater. Zhuangzi returns you to your own nature. The Epicureans define sufficiency before you need it. The Buddhist teachers cultivate the capacity to be warmed by others' light. Confucius resets the metric to the internal. Kierkegaard names the ultimate stake, not your contentment, but your existence as a singular person. If this reached you at the right time, subscribe. We explore the deepest questions of human existence every week, so you can live yours more fully.